My name is Alex Njeru, Programs Director at the Eastern Africa Policy Center. I'm having a conversation with Phumlani Majonzi from South Africa, a non-executive director of the Free Market Foundation and a political analyst in South Africa. We are going to speak about some germane socio-political and economic issues in South Africa. Phumlani, welcome.
Say, how are you?
I'm fine.
It's great to see you.
Karibu Nairobi. Like the political situation in South Africa has been very fluid. President Zuma has faced a lot of challenges, legal challenges, and political challenges as well. What happens? Does Zuma relinquish the presidency in favor of an anointed successor, or where does he leave it?
Well, we are exactly right. He has faced too many challenges, right? And most of them, they are sort of self-inflicted, At least that's how many South Africans see it, including me as well. So he has got himself in a position that he's in. So, and then the question you're asking is he going to, to give or hand over power? And of course, according to the ANC's constitution, this year is the end of President Jacob Zuma as the president of the ANC, right? Because the ANC is having its elected conference in December this year, where the new leadership will take over. But the fact that Jacob Zuma will be replaced by a new leader this December, in the ANC, doesn't mean that it will be the end of his presidency in South Africa. He will remain the president of South Africa until 2019, when the national election takes place. And then the bigger question that many of the people are asking is, if he leaves power in December, no longer being the leader of the ANC, the new leadership, what will they do about it? Right? Are they going to recall him from the presidency and tell him to step down, given the damage that he has done over the past years since he's been in office and so on, and the scandals that he has faced? So those are big questions that people are asking, and that is why President Jacob Zuma is working very hard to ensure that he sways or he sort of manipulates the presidential race in his favor, so that whoever comes in December as the new leader of the ANC is the person he can trust.
I'm sure there are a couple of ANC luminaries who are angling for the top seat. We have the current vice president. Who else is in sort of the frame to succeed Zuma as the president of the African National Congress?
Well, you are right. There is Cyril Ramaphosa, the current deputy president. There is, the current deputy president is the person that Mr. Jacob Zuma doesn't trust, right? So he doesn't really think that he could trust him going into 2019, given the fact that you'll remember that President Jacob Zuma has more than 700 corruption charges hanging over him. So he wants someone who, after December, is not going to, who will ensure that he doesn't face the court of law, and he doesn't trust Cyril Ramaphosa in that aspect, or any other candidates, of course, except people like Ndungu Zuma, who is an opponent of Cyril Ramaphosa as we run into 2019. And then there are other names as well. There is Zweli Mkhize, who's being raised, who apparently some people say will be a unity candidate, given the fact that there are factions in the ANC. So they believe that he could be the candidate to unite the party. The other names like Ndungu Njeru, a very reputable member of the ANC, who has served in senior positions in government and in the ANC as well. Jeff Radebe, the Minister of the Presidency, are the names that have been raised. But beyond, besides Ndungu Zuma and Cyril Ramaphosa, the other candidates, they don't have sort of much support. So I think at the end of the day, right now the two candidates are leading. That is Ndungu Zuma, who's being favored by the current president, and Cyril Ramaphosa, who the president doesn't really trust.
Who determines who becomes essentially the ANC's president?
Well, firstly, the way it's structured is that the ANC branches will have to vote in December for their preferred candidate. And it does seem, when you look at the numbers, when you do the crunching the numbers, it does seem that the provinces that are backing Ndungu Zuma, they have the most ANC delegates or ANC branches and so on. So they are the most, they contain the most, they are the most populous in terms of they contain a big chunk of ANC membership, basically. KZN, Mpumalanga, and others as well. So when you look at the numbers, it becomes difficult for Cyril Ramaphosa to be able to catch up, given the fact that the provinces that are behind him, they don't carry much weight in terms of the ANC's membership and delegates and so on. So that is the situation that we are facing, that it seems that the balance is sort of tilting towards Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, given the numbers.
And I would want sort of to shift focus towards the economy right now. Is it, in a sense, is it prudent to construct like the political situation with the economic situation? Are these things linked? Because it's at some point in time the rating agencies downgraded South Africa's status.
Yeah.
So is it like, well, is the politics, is like the economy has not been performing well? It was in recession a couple of months ago. What has happened? South Africa was known to be a very vibrant and upward going economy.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we've known to be sort of a very, to an extent, an active, productive economy, right? When you look at the years of Mandela, Thabo Mbeki, there were points where we had plus minus 4% economic growth. And then President Jacob Zuma, and our debts went down quite significantly. It was when Thabo Mbeki left, it was on the downward trend.
What are your opinions about black economic empowerment and sort of an affirmative action that allows the black community to catch up and sort of benefit from economic activity in South Africa?
Well, that's what's believed. It's believed that it's a tool to help black people to get out of poverty and progress. Well, I am for affirmative action, but I'm not for racial affirmative action. I'm for non-racial affirmative action. Right? So I don't think, given our situation where we come from, I don't have a problem with somehow helping those who have been disadvantaged. But I have a problem when it becomes a race thing, right? So I'm against black economic empowerment for that main reason, that the fact that it's black, I think it should be EED, economic empowerment for the disadvantaged, as the South African Institute of Race Relations advocates or puts it. And I think I don't have an issue with that, because the moment you put race into it, then it becomes a problem. You're dividing the society. Obviously, some people, they will ask themselves, the Indians want to benefit to an extent, the other races as well. People sort of see it as a race thing and ask themselves, how is my race benefiting? And the moment you go down that route, it's going to be a problem. Rather, if you want to address the injustice of the past, don't make it racial, right? Target people who are still, regardless of their race. There are many poor whites in South Africa, right? And as a result, they have no hope, because we've built in systems that ensure that everything is race-based. And the worst thing about such racial sort of policies is that you end up, especially government, ends up giving tenders and businesses to black people who are already well off.
We have also the Democratic Alliance in
the opposition, the major opposition. Yeah.
What does their future look like? They have sort of gone through a reinvention of sorts with Muse, who obviously is very charismatic. What chances does he have of becoming South Africa's next president?
Yeah, very, very slim for him, to be frank with you. DA faces sort of different challenges, right? And it hasn't yet seen by South Africans as a party that represents them, or that can stand on behalf of them and make progress in the country. And it also in large part being seen as a sort of a white party. You see, it's for white people, and we don't trust white people and so on. So it has to deal with those issues, right? But the arrival of my man, it's good that he has sense of we live in our politics where race does matter, so it has put in a black person there who is sort of trying to advance the DA's cause. But then there's been a disappointment with the DA as well, in the sense that it's sort of now moving to the left, it's not upholding the pro-market, free market principles, liberal principles that I'm sure you and I agree upon, So it's sort of going to the left now. and it seems like at some point it's just going to be the ANC without corruption, and that's a problem because we've been disappointed or many people have been disappointed that it should be an alternative to the ANC in terms of policy, of ideology, and the way it is, it proposes to change South Africa. So those are quite a few disappointments there. It doesn't. The chances are it could be in 2024, but not in 2019. I don't see the DA sort of, winning the presidency or winning the national elections in 2019.
So that's what gives you hope about South Africa's future, right? Looking forward, what is there to look up to in South Africa?
Sure, I think that's a difficult one because I think it doesn't. The future of South Africa doesn't look that. At least in the next 10 years or so, I don't see it that much positive given our political environment, right? I don't see that much positive. I think we are yet to reach our throw. It will sort of sink and reach the throw, especially if Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma comes in, because that will sort of deteriorate the situation. The whole white monopoly far left-leaning cause will continue into 2019. The scandalous presidency will continue. Unemployment will continue to rise and so on. So we are not, and the ANC is not going to lose power in 2019. They're not going to lose power. Although they become weaker, but they're not going to lose power. They still be involved in the governance of the country. And that will sort of complicate things. So I do estimate that maybe we can look into the 2024 election changing things, in the sense that there will be some sort of by that time in 2024 we'll be at a point where we would have seen that really things have really failed, whether it's service delivery, corruption getting worse, unemployment, lack of economic growth, that people would want to change their course and vote for someone else or someone with a different approach.
Is there a sense that South Africans are beholden to the ANC for liberating them from apartheid?
Yeah, sure. Oh, that's a big one, and I've written about that as well. There's so much, especially black people, that no matter. Actually, by the way, I was listening to the former president Kgalema Motlanthe, and he says that even though he gave a sort of a very tough, devastating view of the ANC, condemning it and reprimanding the ANC's leadership. But then he was asked at the end of the interview, almost at the end, given that there was an election this afternoon, who would you vote for? He said the ANC, but the question is why. He says, well, it's just the leadership. It's not the party itself. It's just leadership that is doing the wrong things. So there's that perception in the country, even amongst many black people, that it's just the current leadership. The party is still fine. The party is doing the well. At least it has liberated people, and it has done big things over the past 22 years, and so on. So if it's just Jacob Zuma, so that's the serious thing that we face, where people they will continue to stick by the ANC and just make excuses that no, it's just the current leadership. So only if we could change this leadership, then the ANC would be back on track. So they feel that the ANC is still there and they want to stick by it, and they always quote the past as the reason why the ANC should continue being in charge.
Phumlani, thank you very much. Once again, I hope you had a good stay in Nairobi.
Pleasure.
I had a conversation with Phumlani Majonzi, non-executive director at the Free Market Foundation South Africa, and a political analyst as well. Basically, we spoke about the germane issues and the fluid socio-political and economic environment in South Africa. And once again, thank you, Phumlani.
Pleasure, sir. Asante.
Asante.
That's how you say it, right?
Yes.
Pleasure.
Karibu Nairobi.